Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? We're back. We're back. How are you? Back for the late show. I hope you had a good time wherever you were. And I found, I went on the internet and I found this. Yeah, I went on the internet and I found this. Lion or Food Lion employee found dead in grocery store freezer, according to police. Why? How did someone end up in a freezer? And how did no one know? They said police were called to a Food Lion after employees discovered their coworker dead in the freezer. I hope they weren't there for like a long time. They're saying the grocery store employee was found dead inside a freezer last week in North Carolina. According to WNCN, the man was found dead inside a supply freezer at a Food Lion store in Raleigh on September 10th. Police said they were called to the Food Lion after employees discovered their coworker dead in the freezer. Police said no foul play is suspected and they believe the man had a medical emergency. Oh, that's very sad. They said the Raleigh Police Department and OSHA are investigating. The employee's name has not been publicly released. In a statement to People, Food Lion said it is deeply saddened by the unexpected loss of our associate. We express our deepest condolences to the associate's family and friends. Food Lion said it is cooperating with the investigation and calling it an unfortunate incident. Let me see what WNCN says, if they let me. They're saying that the investigation ruled that the man had a medical emergency Monday night before dying inside the freezer and being discovered the next day. I mean, how awful. I hope it was a good show. I hope it was a good guest. Mama Mia says hello to everyone. I'll say hello. Rachel Blaze. FFS is here. Mama Mia. Kathy Lynch. Diane Marie. Mr. DJ. I think that's it. Did I miss anyone? That's it. That's it for the late show. Everyone's gone to sleep. But I think this is pretty bad. Imagine that being your family worker or some family member, and then they didn't come home, and then you find out that they had a medical emergency in a freezer and weren't discovered till the next day. The store was in the 4500 block of Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh. Raleigh. The Raleigh Police Department reported on Tuesday. Let me see. All right. What does this say? It just says Food Lion. Don't play the music. There we go. That just says what's in your article. Yeah, there you go. How very sad for that man's family. Not the way I think any of us want to go. Hey, Cakes how are you? I guess people maybe he was working overnight store packing shift, like bringing in supplies and then putting them in the grocery store or something. Walked into the freezer and had a heart attack or something and passed away. And then when workers came in the morning, probably not the first place they check is the supply freezer because they're all in the store. And maybe they didn't notice until later in the day. Very, very unfortunate. Hey guys, how are you? Good to see you. Hey Gambler. Yeah, we talked about that a while ago. The woman, it was a Friday. She was at her work in Arizona. It was a Friday evening. That's when she was last seen alive. They discovered her, I think it was Tuesday morning the following week. They noticed a smell out of her office cubicle and went to investigate and they found her deceased. Tuesday, not Monday, not Sunday night. The cleaners didn't find her Saturday morning, Tuesday morning. So all Monday, people are like hanging out at the office, getting a coffee, talking at the water cooler, and then they're just like, "Oh, you seen Jenny?" "No, I haven't seen Jenny." "Where is she?" "I don't know." Did she have a personal day?" "Maybe, maybe." "I heard she was at her desk." "Really? She's at her desk? Oh, okay." And then the next day, someone goes and up and actually looks for her, and they're like, "Oh, she died at her desk, probably on Friday evening." Horrible. Shows you the viciousness of corporate culture. It really does. Could be a long weekend. It was a long weekend for her. Marilyn, hey, how are you? I don't think so. I think they said they were in on Monday. I think from when I remember reading the story, they said they were in on Monday. Angela says they followed the smell. Yep. She was taking a nap, a very long one. That's some very dark humor, my friend. That's some very dark humor. Well, it is Wells Fargo. All right. Hey, did they ever do an update? There was supposed to be an autopsy that was released for her, but I don't know if they ever made it public. Hold on. Let's have a look. Oh, that's right. Her name was Denise Prudhomme. She was 60 years old. Died at her desk. And I hate that because it feels like this woman probably gave a lot to her workplace over the years, worked overtime, took time away from her life to, support the company. And of course, they paid her a paycheck, but I'm guessing, very much like she was just a number. How many people do Wells Fargo hire nationwide? Probably thousands. I bet you the CEO probably had no idea who she was. And that's sad to me because it's like she's just a, a cog in the giant machine of Wells Fargo. They said here, according to local outlets, authorities said 60-year-old Denise entered the Wells Fargo building on Friday. It was, yeah, Friday, right? 7 a.m. on August 16, which was the Friday. Yes, Friday. At 7 a.m. in the morning, she entered that building. On August 20, building security officials regarded a subject down. They called officials regarding a subject down. She was found dead in her cubicle. She was pronounced deceased at 4:55 p.m. 4:55 p.m. on the Tuesday, not Tuesday morning, not 9 a.m. on the Tuesday when people came in and went, "Oh my God, Denise, too much Mexican food for you, my friend." They went, "Okay, let's just all hang out in the office building all day." Oh my God. And then, hey, we should go check on her. We haven't heard from Denise since Friday. Ridiculous. Yeah, it is heartbreaking. An employee here says it's really heartbreaking. I'm thinking, what if they were just sitting there and what if I were just sitting there and no one checked on me? The employee went on to add, to hear she's been sitting at a desk like that would make me feel sick and nobody did anything. That's how she spent her last moments. I agree. The fact that no one noticed that she was gone for Friday, didn't come home on Friday night for the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then most of Tuesday as well, just laying there in her cubicle. I think that's horrid, very horrid. It is. Hey Utah, how are you? I think it's sad in many ways. It shows that don't take anything for granted in life. Make sure that work-life balance is in your favor. That company ain't gonna give an absolute crap when you die. Do you think that Wells Fargo gives any any Fs today that Denise died at her desk? Put your hand up in chat. How many of you think that Wells Fargo give any Fs that she died at her desk in September? It's now September, about a month later. How many Fs are given by Wells Fargo today? Because I can tell you how many it is. It's this many. Zero. Zero Fs are given. They couldn't give an absolute crap that she died at her desk. Guarantee it. Like, she clocked in Friday morning at 7 a.m., and they found her, well, they pronounced her dead Tuesday just before 5 p.m. knockoff time. DJ says Wells Fargo employs over 200,000 employees as of 2022 worldwide. Kiki says 0. It is 0. They could give an absolute nothing. No Fs are given. Yeah, they already yeah, that's right. What were we watching where they were already hiring for someone? Someone died and they were hiring, like, the next day. Next day, they were already hiring. They were looking for a replacement. 24 hours, that's all you get. It's like a football team. You get to mourn for 24 hours, and then we're back to business. Reby says, "I'm having a good day, so I've come to say hello. I hope you are feeling better, Reby. I hope you are, my friend." Yes, thank you for all the well wishes for Reby. Martha's husband, was that the one? They were already hiring for his position after he got arrested. They're like, "He ain't never coming back. Let's start hiring. He done for. Let's keep hiring." Yeah, you just said bloody hell Tuesday, pronounced dead. Yep. And she'd been there since Friday, 7 a.m. Rory, get down. All right. Enough getting mad about corporate stuff. I just, treat people a little differently, I guess, and try and use that time where you see people to actually give a crap about other people. And, you know, everyone's got to make their paycheck and all that kind of stuff, right? But just remember, if you end up like Denise, they wouldn't so much as probably get a cake for you or come to your funeral. They would not. I bet you maybe a couple of her work friends and people that directly worked with her probably did. But do you think, like, the managers and stuff would go? They're like, "Hey, we got business to do. We got too much stuff to do. We're running a bank here. We ain't got no time for funerals." Let's see. Did she have a funeral? Let's see. Where did she have a funeral? Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find her funeral details. Did they have it in Arizona or did they have it somewhere else? No, I don't see any. They kept her funeral details pretty quiet. I don't see like a funeral home or something. Here, there is a Reddit about people who work for Wells Fargo, and I'm gonna show you something. Yeah, I'm gonna show you this. This comes directly from the Wells Fargo Reddit, where people who work there hang out. Rory, shush girl. If you hop up there, no biscuits for you. So it says here. Yeah, let me get this here. It says on Reddit, we would like to express our condolences to the family of Denise, our Tempe Wells Fargo employee who recently passed away. This comment is not intended to take advantage of this unfortunate news, but is to serve as a special notice. No employee should be left post-mortem at the workplace for 4 days. This is not an incentive to return back to the office and eliminate work from home. I agree. It actually makes it like, what if they still had work from home? Maybe her family would have found it. 1 second. Sorry, I had to get Rory. They're saying here, the family of this employee must know that this has saddened our employees, and we are ready to recommend fixes to our security procedures to make sure this never happens again. Furthermore, someone close to retirement age should not be forced to commute to work in the office in 111 degrees in Tempe, Arizona. This is wrong. This is inhumane for our greatest generation of employees. Loudspeakers will be submitted on behalf of Denise to implement an immediate fix. If Wells Fargo refuses to hear our fix to improve our work conditions, then we will contact the media and we will contact our congressmen and congresswomen to force the change. We will prevail in making sure that Denise's death did not happen without us trying to fix what is broken at our work sites. Definitely broken, my friend. Definitely broken that no one noticed that she was dead at her desk. Hey, the Thoris, how are you? Good to see you. All right, shall we move on from this? We've spoken about Denise a few times. All I can tell you is that it's interesting. Someone from that works at Wells Fargo says, a word of advice, just go ahead and go to the media because they aren't going to do anything. We've taken 2 years of surveys and told them how unhappy we are, and they have not done a thing. As a matter of fact, I've not heard anything in the last 2 years about the surveys that were completed. If the loudspeaker is not something that is going to save money or make money, they aren't going to do anything. They don't care about our mental health, as evidenced by the employee that jumped out of a window a couple of years ago. They are actively cancelling medical accommodations, and they just don't care. Maybe the government should pull them in and talk to them about their lack of care of their customers as well as their employees. Yeah. They're saying that there's a lot of people who work for Wells Fargo who feel like they're not treated correctly. Hey, Cats Gallery, how are you? Mamma Mia. The Thoris, how are you? Thank you, I appreciate it. We've had a weird day. We've had a day of doctor's appointments and x-rays and stuff like that. Good news, we don't think at this point that her toe is broken. So fingers crossed the x-ray tomorrow picks up that there's no break or fracture and she'll be fine. She'll be back at work next week. She can go back. Right now she's going to relax. Relax and put her feet up. You going to relax? Is that what you're going to do? Yes? What are you going to do? Put your feet up? Sounds good. Have a coffee? All right. Rachel says, I would never bank with them either. Too many friends had issues. Fair enough. All right, let's move on to some other things. Yuda says, I meant to ask you. Yeah, she's doing all right. She got some okay MRI results as well. So hopefully she'll feel better soon. Her MRI came back pretty good. Pretty good, actually, considering all the nasty things that can come up in an MRI. Came back not too bad. Probably doesn't make her feel any better, but they weren't bad. Okay, let's see. Let's go to Cincinnati. Rory. Yeah. I'll play this video and then I'm going to go take care of Rory. If it plays. Come on. I might have to find a different one. This one doesn't want to play.
Of shooting her 6-month-old granddaughter. And thanks for joining us here at 5:30. I'm Mike Dardis.
And I'm Ashley Kirkland. 2 weeks before Mia Harris was scheduled to go to trial, the Liberty Township woman walked into a courtroom and took a plea deal. WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson is live outside the courthouse in Hamilton to walk us through what happened here, Karen.
Well, Ashley, investigators have said all along Mia Harris intentionally shot her 6-month-old granddaughter in the head at close range. And today she took a plea deal and pleaded guilty to 1 count of felonious assault.
Judge, it's my understanding that today Miss Harris will enter a plea of guilty to count 4 in the indictment.
Mia Harris standing before a judge today admitting to a violent crime.
What is your plea to count 4, felonious assault, serious physical harm, a felony of the 2nd degree?
Guilty. 911 calls on December 9th paint a heart-wrenching picture of what went down inside a Liberty Township apartment.
Someone shot my baby. Hurry, please.
Who was it that shot them?
It was her grandma.
You know why your grandma did this?
Because she was mad at us. She's going crazy.
Harris shot her 6-month-old granddaughter, Myra, then left the scene. Investigators say they located her driving the wrong way on 75.
Step out! On your face, now!
She was eventually arrested. When deputies asked her why she shot her grandbaby, they say Harris replied, "That was not my grandbaby. Sorry, not sorry." Myra was critically injured, but survived. During Harris's plea hearing today, the baby was in the courtroom with her mother. Prosecutors did reserve the right to bring additional charges, including homicide, against Harris, should there be health complications down the road related to the shooting.
And Harris faces up to 15 years in prison. She is scheduled to be sentenced next month. Reporting live in Hamilton tonight, Karen Johnson, WLWT News 5.
Grandmother says she's guilty.
So, a grandmother who admits to shooting infant granddaughter. What does the world come to? Says here, a Liberty Township grandmother accused of shooting her 6-month-old granddaughter pleaded guilty Tuesday afternoon inside a Butler County courtroom. Mia Harris, 43, pleaded guilty to felonious assault. In exchange for her plea, 3 other counts of felonious assault and 1 count of firing a weapon into a habitation were dropped. On December 9, 2023, Harris shot her granddaughter Mira, then left the scene, or Myra. Investigators said they located her driving the wrong way on I-75. She was eventually arrested. When deputies asked her why she shot her granddaughter, they said, Harris replied, "That was not my grandbaby. Sorry, not sorry." It sounds like she was having like a mental break. How do you not know it's your grandbaby? What the hell? 15 years for shooting a baby. I know. It's just bizarre. And it says here, during Harris' plea hearing, the baby was in the courtroom with her mother. Prosecutors did reserve the right to bring additional charges, including homicide, against Harris should there be health complications down the road related to any injuries sustained by the child. Harris faces up to 15 years in prison. My bet is she's probably going to get about 5. Something like that, between 5 and 7. They're probably going to give her a different level of... There's different levels of sentencing. She's probably not in the category A or whatever. So she's probably going to get like a 50% or a 40% sentence, something like that. Kiki says YouTube doesn't like the C word. They are the ones to worry about. The C word, yeah, probably. Hardly an apple pie memory? Okay. Carl was on Trisha's live tonight. Okay. The daughter. Okay. Rachel says maybe 5 years. Yeah. I think it's going to be something like that. 5 to 7, maybe. It won't be the 15 because she's not a category A offender. Okay. So if you've committed other, well, we don't know, but if you've committed other crimes in the past, that goes towards your other sentencing. So if you've had other like crimes in the same category, next time you get done with something, you'll get pushed up a category in sentencing. So that tends to happen quite frequently. So you'll be a category A, B, or C offender, and that depends on the percentages of the sentencing guidelines that you get. So we'll see. We'll see next week. Is that what they said? Next week? Next month. Next month. Not next week. Next month. Well, it is actually next week. Is almost next month. So it was kind of right. All right. All right. Do you want to talk about Asha? Let's see if there's any other update on that. We covered it the other night. I want to see if they... Yeah, 8 hours ago. Okay. Let's go to WCNC. Geez, we've done a lot out of Cincinnati and Carolina today.
This morning, we're finally getting some answers in the disappearance of Aisha Degree. For the first time, investigators are now saying she was likely killed and that her body was hidden.
Now, we've had an entire team of people literally going through these hundreds of pages of search warrants to get those information and that detail. And WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is now in studio this morning to break down what we have learned so far. Destiny, good morning.
Good morning. The search warrant documents confirm something that was unknown for decades. Aisha Degree's death was a homicide and her body was hidden. They also revealed that DNA was discovered on a t-shirt and backpack that belonged to Aisha, and it matched to 2 people. Those 2 people are Russell Underhill and Annalee Dedman. Underhill lived at a facility owned by the Dedman family before his death in 2004. Annalee Dedman is the youngest daughter of Roy and Connie Dedman. She was 13 at the time of Aisha's disappearance. And because of her age, investigators believe her parents, quote, would have been necessary in the execution and or concealment of the crime. The link is what prompted investigators to search the Dedmans' properties last week, and right now the Dedmans are the only persons named as suspects in Aisha's disappearance. This comes days after Roy Dedman's attorney, David Teddy, told us he believes the investigation would reveal a now dead individual is responsible for what happened to Aisha.
Because of the rampant conjecture and speculation, I think there will also be information in that search warrant that sadly will link a person to the circumstances of Aisha's disappearance that is no longer living.
Teddy did not elaborate on why.
So actually, yeah, so someone was asking about, the Thoris was asking about Muffin. He's right here under my chair right now. Muff, come here. Muff, where are you? He's under my chair somewhere. I can hear him. Hey. Hi. Oh, there he is. He just ran away. So he's playing. He's often playing. Hey, love is a 4-letter word. How are you? Good to see you. Hit ping for president? I don't know. I'm not orange enough. I'm pretty pale and pasty. I'm not colorized enough to be president. All right. Let's read this. So they're saying here, North Carolina detectives are looking into a possible burial site for the 9-year-old Aisha Degree 2 decades after she vanished. Do you think there'd be much left? 2 decades, a lot of time. They said her case was one of America's most notorious unsolved child disappearances after she vanished from her home during a storm in the early hours of Valentine's Day in 2000. A year later, the bag she had taken on the night of her disappearance was found, and now DNA testing has linked hairs found inside to a local family and a man named Russell Underhill, who died in 2004. Officials said on Monday that the FBI executed several search warrants as part of their investigation. They also named 2 suspects, Roy and Connie Dedmans, whose daughter's DNA was found in Aisha's bag. They said new court documents revealed that a woman told police earlier this month that several years ago she saw Roy digging a chest-deep hole on a property at 601 Cherryville Road. The next day, a detective observed a 6 to 8 inch dent in the ground where it was observed that the ground had been disturbed. Do you reckon they could find it? They could use ground-penetrating radar. They might pick up something. And I think we've read this before, but many years ago, they found some of her belongings wrapped in 2 black plastic garbage bags. And they found hairs in those bags that belonged to Russell and Annalee Dedman, who was 13 at the time of the disappearance of the young girl. I don't know. I hope they figure it out. I really do. I mean, they've been searching for her for almost 25 years. 25 years. Can you believe that? 25 years since the millennium. It just, quarter of a century. It just went by like that. and they still haven't located her. It's really, really sad. I hope they find the remains of her and they hold whoever's left to justice. Really, maybe. I'm also Australian, so I'm not United. I'm not a United States citizen, so I don't think it's allowed. Isn't that why they tried to get Obama? Because they said he was born overseas or something? Aw, he made a catio, so like a cat patio. She can go outside and chase lizards, but not birds. No birds can get into the closed-in area. That's cute. Probably have to do something here so they can go out the back. All right. I want to check into Javion's case too. I just want to see if they did anything today. Javion McGee. I tried to contact his relative, no reply. Fortunately, that is the struggle of being a small channel. A lot of the times you just don't get a reply. All right. Let's see. There was an update 8 hours ago.
Social media attention, getting national attention, and it's that pressure that prompted the sheriff to release more information. And now with Javion McGee's parents here on the ground in North Carolina, we're now getting a better timetable on the hours and days leading to his death. Surrounded by supporters, Javion McGee's parents making the trip to North Carolina from Chicago and Texas for something no parent should ever have to go through.
I just ask that you guys keep us in prayer.
The family meeting with Vance County investigators for several hours before making it clear they still have unanswered questions about Javion's death.
The manner cause of death has not been determined. So for any suggestion that it's a suicide, anybody stating that it was a suicide would be grossly premature.
But the pressure on the sheriff prompted him to release new details on the timetable of Javion McGee's death. We know Javion was in Henderson dropping off a load at the Walmart distribution center on September 10th. Just before 5 p.m., his truck was seen idling in the dirt parking lot not far from where his body would later be found. He then goes to Walmart, where surveillance video shows him buying utility rope. On the way out in the parking lot at around 6:22 p.m., he gives something to a homeless person outside. Investigators talked to the man, who said Javion gave him $228 and told him, "I don't know how much it is, but if I had more, I would give it to you." He then goes to a Hampton Inn nearby, but there wasn't a room available. So instead, he heads back to that dirt lot off Vanco Mill Road where he was earlier. At 6:52, seen walking away from his truck to the woods alone with an object in his hand. At 7 p.m., he goes back to the truck without anything in his hand. Then, 30 minutes later, the truck's ignition is turned off and never started again. He's then seen on video walking away from the truck alone. His body would be discovered with the wrapper from the rope lying next to him. As the case now plays out, Javion's father wants people to remember him.
He was one of the first people that say, "Hey, Dad, I'm about to go drive," and I'm like, "Wow, well, what make you want to do that?" He said, "I just want to do it. I want to put in my work," and that's just how he was. He wanted everybody to be together. That was his heart.
Yeah, and that is what has the family so puzzled. They say they had just spoken to Javion 2 days before this happened. They say there was no signs that anything was wrong. As a matter of fact, after this latest trip, he was excited to go visit his family in Texas. So obviously, still a lot of unanswered questions for them. Now, in the meantime, as we wait the results of that official autopsy and toxicology, the family says once they are able to recover Javion's body, they also want to conduct their own independent autopsy.
There's been continued pressure on the Vance County.
All right. The more details that come out, the more it doesn't seem great. But like they said, maybe it's premature to label it something he did himself. But the giving away money, that's not a good thing. I mean, maybe he was a very charitable guy, but $228 is a lot of money to give out to a homeless person. Let's see, what else does it say here? They said an investigator. They said some sort of private investigator had a comment on it. I don't know. Just says here, as the family of Javion McGee continues to push for answers about the 21-year-old's death, this article was only released about 9 minutes ago too. The Vance County Sheriff's Office is releasing more detailed information about the investigation. McGee was found 1 week ago with rope wrapped around his neck. That's the first time we've ever heard it stated like that. And the rope attached to a tree branch. That we haven't heard that either before. So McGee's current address was listed as being in Aurora, Illinois at the time of his death, and that he was in Henderson, North Carolina, while on a trucking route. He had started working as a truck driver earlier in the year, though initial reports led investigators to believe that McGee had died via his own hand. His family has pushed back against that claim. Rumors on social media went viral claiming that McGee was a victim of hate crime. There's been information put out there that there's been a lynching in Vance County. There is not a lynching in Vance County. The young man was not dangling from a tree. He was not swinging from a tree. The rope was wrapped around his neck. It was not a noose. There was not a knot in the rope, so therefore it was not a lynching in Vance County. McGee's family is not convinced, and along with civil rights attorneys, they are pushing back against Vance County Sheriff's Office. On Wednesday, the Sheriff's Office released a detailed timeline of the events leading up to McGee's death. To provide more context about the information coming out about the case, ABC 11 reached out to an investigator who is uninvolved in the case, hoping to get a more unbiased understanding of what to make of the newly released evidence. That investigator, called Lisa Miller, said, "I learned a long time ago never to say never in this business." After looking at all the publicly released evidence in the case, Miller said she had many more questions before being able to draw a conclusion on what really happened. But one thing was clear. It's a tale of the hate that we have in this world and the divisiveness that we can't rule out a hate crime after a young man was found, and that has to be acknowledged. Miller said the publicly released facts don't point directly to a hate crime being committed or indicate that there was outside involvement in McGee's death. However, she said she couldn't rule out the possibility and that the investigation needs to continue and be extremely thorough. We have to be really careful because the most deviant of people that want to do bad things are capable of staging scenes to look like S words. And she said, I can't rule it out. She pointed to some key pieces of evidence that don't indicate outside involvement in his death, namely that there is a video of him purchasing the rope that was found on his body, and that there is video of him walking alone to where his body would later be found, and that he gave hundreds of dollars to a person who was homeless shortly before his death. If that's true, then why did he try find a hotel room? Was he going to do it inside the hotel room and then couldn't do that? Why would he try find a bed for the night then? Isn't that a little weird? Yeah, the rope was not in a knot. You're right. He gave out cash but used a card to buy the rope. It's all a little weird. She was here yesterday. She may be having a night off. Kiki Rose says they need to not jump the gun before they have the truth. Sounds like Ellie is right with this. Evidence points to a self-deletion. The autopsy will have some more information, hopefully. Yeah, we can't use... Yeah, I can highlight it for you, but I cannot say it because we'll get completely just covered in like notices for everyone to call helpline. It's a trigger word on YouTube, unfortunately. Where is it? I know it's in here somewhere. I don't know. It's on here somewhere. Yeah, where is it? Here. This word right here. The one I've highlighted. We can't say, so we just say S word. Marilanda says hyoid bone broken. Maybe, I don't know. We don't have the Yeah, but DJ, I'm lazy, all right? I'd rather waste 30 seconds of your time while I scroll through it. No, I know. I thought it was in the paragraph I just read. That's why I was a little confused. Oh, yeah. We're not allowed to. We can't say it. Can't say that one. Can't say the one that begins with R either. And we can't say the one that begins with CA either. Can't say the one that starts with CP either. Can't say any of those. Is the autopsy back yet? No, I don't believe so. Actually, I think the first autopsy is almost completed, but they're waiting on toxicology and forensics. So like the physical part of it is done, but not the other parts like chemical reagent testing, DNA testing, toxicology, that type of thing. That has not been completed yet. So we're waiting. Hey Casper, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if we have another video here from CBS in Chicago. Let's see if they have anything new. Let's see what this one says.
The family of a man from Aurora who was found dead under a tree in North Carolina is demanding answers. 21-year-old Javion McGee was found with a rope around his neck in Henderson, North Carolina, September 11th. He worked as a truck driver and was on the job. Investigators released a detailed timeline of McGee's final movements, including surveillance video that showed him buying a rope at Walmart. McGee's family does not believe he took his own life and is demanding a full investigation.
The manner cause of death has not been determined. So for any suggestion that it's a suicide, anybody stating that it was a suicide would be grossly premature.
If this moment can spark anything, I would, if I can tap into him, I would say he wants this country to come together.
The thing I wonder though is if Javion's death does come back as something that he did to himself, are the family ready to accept that ruling and those answers if the police autopsy and their independent autopsy both come back with the same ruling? Will they be able to accept that particular ruling from both of the medical teams? I worry that maybe they won't. I'm worried that they are struggling to deal with this, and that's very sad. That's very sad to me. I'm sure they don't want to. It's a hard enough time. They don't want to be, the fact that they've lost such a young relative is very hard to deal with. And I wouldn't. And being in the public eye, even though that's what they want, it's still extremely difficult to deal with. Kathy said they've started talking again about the sub that. Yes. All right. Do you guys want to do that before we get out of here for tonight? Hold on. Yes, I do have more information about that. I will keep trying to contact Javion's relatives, and so my rule is this: I message once. If I don't get a reply, I don't bug them. I just let it go and say, hey, they obviously don't want to talk, so I just leave it alone. I'm not one of these people that's going to pester a family who's going through a tough time. So I just send one message. I say, hey, we're trying to keep his name out there. It would be nice if we had someone who actually knew him, who could talk about him, rather than me talk about him because I didn't know him. And if they reply, great. If they don't, I just leave it alone because I don't want to bug a family who's going through a hard time. So the reason you're seeing a lot of this stuff about the Titan sub is because they're currently doing like an inquest into it, and that's why we're seeing a lot more information. Now, let me bring you here. They actually have video now of the first bit of the Titan sub that they found. I'm going to show it to you now from ABC6 in Philadelphia on their YouTube channel has it. So I have to turn off that stupid eerie music in the background. But here you go. You can sort of see this piece of the sub here. That looks like the front dome, maybe the front window, or the end cap. I'm not sure, but there's a few different bits that they've. Does this have both of them? No, this only has this one. There's actually another piece that I can show you. That's one. And there's another one where you see the nose cap of it. Hold on, I'm just trying to find it. So here's the nose cone right there. There's a mangled, that bit that they first found, the nose cone. That is indeed the Titan, yes. So you can see that's one of the larger pieces that they found. And that's how they knew it was basically done. You're looking at the Titan sub that imploded last year near the Titanic. Rachel says, I didn't expect to see this much left of it. There was quite a bit left of it. Yeah, it looks like the middle went ka-chung and the rest of it went out. So it looks like it closed like a tin can, like straight down, and then everything else went out. So pretty brutal. And I can show you a little bit more. Actually, I can read you some more about it. So yeah, here's that nose cone again of the Titan sub. This is from the U.S. Coast Guard and OceanGate. So this is them searching for it. And this was the first bit of evidence they found, was this nose cone. And you can see it has equipment still on there. So it looks like the bit where the humans were inside the tube is the bit that imploded. The rest of it kind of got blown away from it. And there are some interesting bits of information here. Okay. So as they were going down to the sea floor to go see the Titanic, they were talking with the mothership, and they kept getting a little concerned because the messages were taking a really long time. Like, they'd be like, hey, how are you going? And they would be like 15 minutes later, be like, oh yeah, we're great. And they'd be like, you can't wait 15 minutes to reply to us. Like, they were getting mad with them. They're like, we need to know, like, this is a really dangerous thing. You can't just be like, oh my God, it's beautiful out there. You need to be replying to us so we know that everything is okay. And they said here, the Marine Board of Investigation said the Titan's detached tail cone and other debris provided conclusive evidence that the vessel experienced a catastrophic implosion. Text messages sent from the Titan's crew to the Polar Prince, a nearby support ship, also gave new insight into the accident. At one point during its ill-fated trip, the Titan was asked by the Polar Prince if the former could still see the latter on its informational display. The crew responded, all good here, as the vessel descended further. In a final message, the Titan's crew texted, dropped to wait. It says WTS, but they mean weights. So they had these weights that they had on the ship that controlled its buoyancy and sinking. And they dropped 2 weights, but they don't say why. They say meaning that the submersible had shed 2 measures of weight in hopes of returning to the ocean's surface. Something went wrong. That's interesting because they hadn't reached all the way to the Titanic yet. They were still descending. So why were they dropping weights? Very odd. OceanGate, the company that developed the Titan, has faced endured scrutiny as witnesses have come forward saying they had concerns about the vessel's construction before its doomed final trip. Tony Neeson, the former engineer director for OceanGate, said he felt rushed to get the Titan into the water, testifying that he 100% experienced pressure from higher-ups to do so. He says, I don't believe that the composites are the correct material for a pressure vessel that's experiencing external compression, adding that he had doubts about the Titan. at the hearing on Monday and is expected to continue for 2 weeks. It is meant to uncover the facts surrounding the Titan's fatal implosion, and they're saying it will investigate any potential misconduct or negligence by mariners. And they're saying here, yeah, that's it. So yeah, there is another one that has a transcript of their final messages. Hold on. Is it this one? No, hold on. Sorry, I'm just trying to find out. I read it earlier today and it had like the whole thing of it. Nope, that's not it either. All right, let's go to CBS News. I think they might have it.
Coast Guard investigation into last year's deadly implosion of the Titan submersible has revealed the final messages from the crew as it descended to the wreck of the Titanic. One reading, quote, "All good here." Well, a former lead engineer for OceanGate testified yesterday that he felt pressured to get the vessel ready to dive. And investigators revealed the submersible had over 100 equipment issues in the years leading up to the disaster. So joining us now with more on this is the president and founder of Lifeguard Systems, Butch Hendrick. Butch, thank you so much for joining us. So this is a former lead engineer who was actually fired because he wouldn't do some of what was being asked of him years before this fatal descent. So, but let's start with this figure of over 100 equipment issues in the years leading up to the fatal dive. This was an experimental submersible. So is that out of the ordinary for there to be that many issues?
I don't believe it is. Normally, when we're teaching people how to do things, especially under pressure and underwater, three problems says, let's stop and go back and fix at least 2. To have hundreds and for that kind of pressure differential, I don't believe it's out of the ordinary at all.
Right. And so what stood out to you the most about yesterday's testimony?
Basically, again, the engineer being able to say that he was fired because he wanted to have double and triple checks.
Yeah.
But also the fact that there was no third party certifications, that it was constantly being diverted so that he didn't have to have someone from the outside come in and say, these are problems.
Right. And in fact, that lead engineer said himself at the time when he was working for the company, there's no way he was going to go down in that submersible. And he didn't just talk about, the actual vessel, but also the crew. He just didn't feel like it would be safe.
Yes. Yeah. It was a whole series of issues that were happening, and they were talking about it when the incident originally took place.
So as you can see, a lot of people had issues with the way it was done. I did find a little bit of the transcript. I can't remember where I originally read it, but I read it earlier today. They said here on Monday, the hearing heard the last words from the crew to the support ship Polar Prince, said everything was all good here. Audio became more spotty as it descended, with the Polar Prince asking if the Titan could see the ship on its display. The Titan was still able to send one message when the submersible was 3,341 meters deep, an hour and a half after its journey began. The message read, "Drop to weights," and that was sent at 10:47 a.m. in the morning. 6 seconds after the message was sent, the Titan was pinged for the final time at a depth of 3,346 meters. So they only went down about 5 more meters. After that, there was no communication between it and the Polar Prince mothership that indicated any trouble or emergency on board the ship. The Polar Prince began to realize the worst had happened when it sent a message to the Titan at 10:49 a.m. saying it had lost tracking. They continued to message the doomed sub every 2 to 3 minutes, but by 11:15 a.m., they told the Polar Prince's master there had been a loss of communication. U.S. authorities said a catastrophic explosion had occurred, killing all on board instantly. The Coast Guards were eventually called at 6:27 p.m. after the Polar Prince had spent 3 hours searching. Presumed human remains were recovered from the ocean floor in 2 recovery operations. The remains were taken ashore and were matched with the profiles of the victims on board the submarine. The hearing also heard that in 2018, the vessel was struck by lightning, which left a significant blow to the structure. That caused it to fail a test by a wide margin. So they must have been towing it, or it must have been on a ship heading out to sea, and a storm came through and lightning struck it because I guess it's a huge structure and it's metal in a thing of water, and it must have, yeah, it probably would have hurt it. I mean, lightning is destructive, very destructive. Rapid decompression also occurred during testing phases of the project in the years earlier. A bombshell new lawsuit claims explorers knew they were going to die after a failed last bid to save themselves. OceanGate, the company that built the Titan, released a statement offering their deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of those who died. The spokesperson said there are no words to ease the loss endured by families impacted by this tragic accident, and that hearing is expected to last a couple of weeks. Sounds like the more we find out, the more that was wrong with this particular submarine. It got hit by lightning. You have to scrap that thing. Why would you ever put that in the water and under pressure ever again? The fact it was struck, and I don't think it works like an aeroplane. An aeroplane, when it gets struck by lightning, it has a way of diverting the energy through the aircraft and not impacting like electronic systems and things like that, structure and stuff like that. But I don't know if a sub that was basically built in the backyard of some guy has those same type of technologies and engineering. It's ridiculous. Should have been scrapped. The moment they got hit by lightning, it should have just been crushed into a ball. They were going to go see the Titanic. Yeah, this wasn't an accident. It was negligence. 100%. Yep. They ended up like the Titanic, like their hero. You know, they loved this ship and they wanted to be so close to it. Very sadly, their final resting place is not too far from the Titanic. Their final moments on Earth were probably a few hundred yards away from the Titanic itself. Thank you. I appreciate that, Angela. The Olympic and the Britannica? Who's to blame? OceanGate. The person to blame is dead. And that was Stockton Rush. Stockton Rush is the guy you blame. It's his project. It was his money. It was his courting of rich people to come on his submarine. It's 100% him, but he's no longer here. He died along with everyone else on the submarine. So, but he is the one to blame. I know that young guy didn't even want to go. Actually, it was supposed to be that man and the wife. They were supposed to go as a husband and wife trip, but she sort of didn't really want to go. And then I think the dad wanted to make it like a father-son type of trip, and the son was like, "I'm scared. This thing looks like a tin can, and I don't really want to go on it." And he did it to make his dad happy, and he ended up dying with his father on board the Titan, which is extremely tragic. Let's see. I really wish I could find those. There was like a transcript, and it was like word for word what they said to the Titan. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't find it, but I think you heard most of it. Like they were trying to contact them. There was one point that they sort of yelled at them because they believe Hamish was the one that was at the messaging control. And they were telling him, they're like, hey, you can't be waiting 15 minutes to send us a message telling us you're okay. It's far too long. And we're worried about you. We can't see you. You're in the water, thousands of, feet deep. You can't wait a quarter of an hour to tell us, yeah, everything's fine. You have to be telling us like minute by minute that things are going okay. Otherwise, we send up the flare and we send out the search party. Yeah, but that tells me everything you need to know, right? The fact that they had such little ways of tracking and communication to the sub. If this was any other company, they'd have like a guide wire and like a friggin' sonar that can actually get out of the water. And the other thing I hated about the Titan sub was the fact that you were bolted into it, right? If anything ever went wrong, say, if you remember back to when the Titan originally went down, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to be a rescue mission. We have to wait for the other sub to get out there, and then they're going to go down and see if they've been tapping on the side of it. How would they get them out of it? They're bolted into it. It's literally got these huge bolts about that thick that go all the way around the frame when you get into it, and they just bolt you in with like a compression ratchet. How would you ever get a rescue operation out of it? You just couldn't, because you couldn't open it. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that delivery. Yeah, look, like I was saying, there's no way you could get a rescue operation because how would you unbolt it? You couldn't unbolt it at the bottom of the sea. Those submersibles they use don't have enough power to drag another sub back up with it. So what were they ever going to do? I mean, they could try and hook it to something that the mothership had and then try winch it back out, but you're dealing with forces beyond your control, like 3,300 meters deep in the ocean, and you want to drag a metal winch all the way down there and then attach it and try and make them go back up. It's like a recipe for disaster. Kathy said, and there's no regulations to keep people from building backyard submarines. I think it's as long as it's... I can't remember. The way they got around it was basically they accepted donations and not tickets. So you didn't buy tickets, you donated to their project. Does that make sense? So the way they didn't actually sell any tickets to the sub, they just got donations for it or something. So they weren't actually a passenger, a passenger line type of thing. I appreciate it. 15 people didn't hit the like button. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon here now. We have to wind up in a minute. We have to get out of here because I got things I got to do. We've been on all day since about, I don't know, 11 a.m. in the morning. So we have a small break at lunchtime and then I'm back on. Yeah, and you all had a job to do on board. Like one person was communications and one person did the tea and coffee or something. It wasn't literally built in a backyard. They built it at a fab facility, but it wasn't like NASA. It wasn't like they built it at NASA and they're like, got all these great machines where they can test it and put it in a simulated environment and see if it breaks. No, it was just a bunch of guys in a shipyard just building something in a friggin' literally a shipyard. They were just building it in their, you know, factory. That's it. Pretty crap. Basically just stuffed into it, yeah. And then bolted in. Yeah, it was built. The guy was an idiot. He had been told time and time again that you can't use things like, I think it was like carbon fiber. You can't mix carbon fiber with other composites because it doesn't work. So it doesn't have very good crushing strength. Carbon fiber is good for certain things because it is very light, and you can create shapes out of it. But it does, if you crash into something, it just crumbles. So that's the same when you have forces being applied the opposite way too. Not that you crash into something like a race car, but if you apply forces crushing like into it, the reverse of that, of a crash in a car the other way, it's going to do the same thing. It's just going to go like that. And the one thing I could tell you, if you really want to know more about this, watch the is it the Spielberg? No, not Spielberg. Hold on, there's a movie. I'll show it to you. Watch Journey to the Deep with James Cameron. Go watch that documentary and see what James Cameron had to go through to get a sub to go to the lowest trench in like our oceans. He went to the bottom. Go watch that documentary and see the kind of challenges they had in trying to make it safe for him to do it. And yeah, James Cameron, go watch that documentary. I watched it after the sub went missing, and it really opened up my eyes to like the challenges that they had, and the fact that this guy took so many risks with material and stuff like that. It just boggles your mind. Like, they had like a few problems on the James Cameron one, and they were freaked out. Like, they're like, oh my god, the lights stopped working. This guy was like, sure, carbon fiber, it's all good. You'll be fine. Casper says carbon fiber cracks in the cold too. Yeah. It's not the greatest material. It's a great material for certain things. Race car, great. Some sort of specialist bike, great. It's very light, sort of strong. Space shuttle, no. Submarine, no. No good. Yeah, Casper, you watch the movie, then you tell him about it. And if it's good, then he'll watch it. And then you guys can play like telephone. And you guys can like try and tell each other about it. But yeah, good movie. I really enjoyed that one. And it taught me a lot about the kind of stuff that goes into developing a submarine to do anything like this. Here, I'll show you. This is what the sub looked like that they used in the Mariana Trench. I'll see if I can show you the footage of it. Yeah, let me pause that. All right. This is what the James Cameron one looked like. It was like a torpedo where they dropped it off the side of the ship and it just raced to the bottom like a bullet. Like it just, like a weight. They sort of raced it in a like a teardrop sort of shape. Very different from a, the Titan one, which was very horizontal. This one was very vertically made. So he sort of sat in it, and it was sort of like a rocket, like a reverse rocket. Rocket goes to the moon. Well, this one went to the bottom. And yeah, so you can see this is how they designed it. All these bits and pieces and different types of metal. And this bit here was the bit they had a lot of trouble with, this circular bit. You'll have to watch it because I can't remember what it does. But there's some sort of circular bit here that they had a lot of issues with. And you can see all the pipes here and different hydraulic systems. And because it wasn't just for James Cameron to get to the bottom. They were doing like scientific missions and taking samples and stuff like that. But this thing was brutal. Look at this. It was completely different to what the Titan was. Very, very different. Casper says the James Cameron documentary was good. I watched it immediately after the implosion, but that's my opinion. I thought it was very, very... I think if you want a greater understanding of what went wrong with the Titan, you should watch that documentary because you'll instantly get it. When you see them building this submarine and then you hear of how the Titan was built, you'll go, oh, crap. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, but it's only used for certain things on a space shuttle. It's not used to make the entire friggin' space shuttle. It's sort of used for like wrappings on batteries and some other things. They don't make the actual casing, I don't think, out of it because it's going under such force going to the out of our atmosphere. But they do use it on some things, just not. I don't think it's structural. I think they use it for like wrappings and that because it can take a beating. Same with Kevlar. They use a lot of Kevlar on certain places on it. Yeah, all right. Well, if Casper tells you it's good, then you should go watch it. Gila says, I watched lots of interviews with people that had been on the sub, people that had worked on it, and footage from the ship before they went down. Yeah. All right. Hey, that's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. And we're going to get out of here for tonight. I'm going to go get my hair cut. That's why I got to get out of here. I'm actually getting a haircut this evening. It's grown back too much. And I've got to go have a shower and get ready and go get my hair cut. So that's what I'm going to go do. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow for 9 p.m. for our breaking news show. The 9 p.m. show is sort of more breaking news. The late show is sort of more whatever topics interest us of the day. It can be anything. We sort of do a little bit of everything on the late show. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here. I very much appreciate to the people who are in chat. Thank you. To the people who watch on the replay crew and leave a comment, thank you very much. And to the people who financially support this channel, send in PayPals or Super Chats or memberships if you have a membership. Thank you very, very much. It's very kind of you. And I get it what it's like out there at the moment. When you go to the shops and you try to buy some like mincemeat and it's like $35 for like 2 pounds or whatever, it's stupid right now. So I get how much that is for people to take out of their day. It's very, very kind. So thank you very much. I'll see you later. See you tomorrow, 9 p.m. And if you are one of the 58% of people who watch these videos and don't subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. Want to see more content like this? Hit that subscribe button below the video and like this show. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.